That's what happened week 7 with many of these games having playoff implications. So now let's talk playoffs. And there's no better place to start with that conversation than Oregon. Look, on Friday night, Oregon barely beat California 24-17 in Eugene. Cal fell to 1-5 with its only win coming against Sacramento State, which is bogus because everybody knows Sacramento ain't no state. Does Oregon look like a playoff team, though? No. It squeaked by a bad Cal team and lost to a mediocre Stanford team. But did Oregon beat Ohio State? Yes. That team beat Ohio State at the shoe without presumptive 2022 number 1 overall pick Kayvon Thibodeau. Now, does Ohio State look like a playoff team? Yes. I think the eyes say yes. Eyes are also, idiots. Does head-to-head matter according to CFP committee protocol and my criteria? Yes, it does. You can't just throw out the result of Oregon having beat Ohio State on the road. As Selena Kyle famously asked, you think all this can last? There's a storm coming big-time college football. You and your friends better batten down the hatches because when it hits, you're all gonna wonder how you ever thought you could live so large and leave so little for the rest of us. I want Oregon and Ohio State to win out because I want to watch the 4-team college football playoff world burn. It's also the reason I perform a different ranking on the Fox Sports app each Sunday morning that takes the eye test and moves it to the end of the line when evaluating teams because I think playing the games has to matter. Otherwise, we'd all be here talking about who we think is good while not even considering head-to-head results and what players have decided on a literal scoreboard. My rankings take into account how many AP top 25 teams a team has beaten at the time that they played their top 25 opponent. Also takes into account a premium is placed on being undefeated. Power 5 teams more than likely, though, play a tougher schedule than group of 5 teams. We agree on this. Being undefeated, though, supersedes strength of schedule. I believe winning every game a team plays is more difficult than losing to a good football team. Results, resume, and winning matter. When two teams have identical resumes, the eye test becomes necessary. But it's also not the way the playoff does it, and it's the reason I believe teams like Cincinnati, Coastal Carolina, and even Wake Forest are liable to get the shaft if they run the table and go undefeated. Think about this. In 2017, Central Florida ran the table, got the shaft. In 2010, Texas Christian ran the table, got the shaft. In 2019, Boise State ran the table, got the shaft. In 2008, Utah ran the table, got the shaft. In 2006, Boise State ran the table, got the shaft. In 2004, Utah ran the table, got the shaft. I've tried to create with my rankings, ways in which that doesn't happen. And one that acts as a jumping off point, really, for a discussion about who would get into an expanded 16-team playoff, because quiet as it's kept, every ranking system, including mine, is flawed. However, that's not what the CFP's committee is going to try to do, and I believe the sport is worse for it. Nobody wearing a suit, sitting in a boardroom at the Gaylord Texan should select who gets into the glorified invitational to play for the national title. The players alone should decide that. Everything else is partisan politics, and the kids work too hard to be thwarted by those. According to the College Football Playoff, though, itself, here is the selection committee criteria. The committee will select the teams using a process that distinguishes among otherwise comparable teams by considering conference championships won. It's a big one. You don't win your conference championship, I don't think you should be playing for a college football playoff spot anyway, let alone a national title. The strength of schedule. I think that's something that is out of the kids' control. And quite literally, something that the ADs could further control and have more say over. We learned this last year. We learned that you can pull BYU Coastal out of your behind if that's what you wanted to do. Okay? Ain't nobody said you got to be locked into these 20-year agreements. Nah, man, you want to go get a game? Go get a game. All right? but don't take it out on the kids who are out there playing football games and winning. Okay. You also have to take into account head-to-head competition, right? Comparative outcomes, common opponents. That seems to matter. Like Oregon beating Ohio State on the road at the shoe that all y'all just want to throw out. Like, we can agree that Ohio State looks like a different football team, but at the time that they played, they lost. Okay, and there are other relevant factors such as the unavailability of key players and coaches. You know, like Kayvon Thibodeau being out when Oregon stopped the mud hole. I shouldn't say stopped the mud hole. Beat Ohio State by 7. We gonna bring that up? Does that not seem to be relevant to any of you? We believe, this is the committee, that a committee of experts properly instructed based on beliefs that the regular season is unique and must be preserved, and that championships won on the field and the strength of schedule are important values that must be incorporated into the selection process, has very strong support throughout the college football community. I can't dispute that. I'm over here in the minority. Under the current construct, though, polls, although well-intended, have not expressed these values, particularly at the margins where teams that have won head-to-head competition, like Oregon beating Ohio State, and championships are sometimes ranked behind non-champions, and teams that have lost in head-to-head competition, you know, like Ohio State did to Oregon. Nuanced mathematical formulas ignore some teams who deserve to be selected. Eye test. I don't like this system. I don't like it because it puts college football in the hands of the people that aren't actually playing the sport. Every other major sport has a tournament to figure out who is its champion. I don't understand why college football needs to be different, and I think the sport is worse for it. 9 times out of 10, Alabama's probably going to stop a mud hole in Coastal Carolina and walk it dry. But that one time that Coastal manages to get that win, all of us are going to win, because that is what makes sport, and in particular college football, so much doggone fun. I live this stuff. I love this stuff. I'm grateful to have you here with me. Hey, kinfolk, I appreciate you for watching. Subscribe here and ring the bell so you don't miss the latest upload to the channel. Also, be sure to watch more videos here, like FS1 Studio shows and the best from Fox Sports and Fox Sports Digital.